we're back. We are back. We are back. And
Happy Thursday.
happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Today Thursday?
Today is Thursday. It's
Okay.
almost Friday.
I'm so tired. I don't know what day it is.
Yes, it's Thursday, man. It's Thursday.
I remember Mel, you say, well, we toe up on the floor.
Oh, I remember that.
Those days were a real challenge to us, but
Yes.
thank God we made it through.
Yes, sir.
It's climbing the rough side of the mountain. But yeah, we're back again. We got to my right our co-host Aline Reed,
Hi, y'all.
and to my left right here, this is my partner in crime. He's our political analyst,
Yes.
strategist.
Yes. He knows about the politics.
I mean, this brother here, Mel, he's been around the track a few times.
Couple of days anyway.
But tonight is our night. We come back with you, the Black Agenda Network, broadcasting out of Fresno, California, better known as Mississippi, Fresno, Alabama. Y'all know we named our city. And so, you know, we're just, election time is getting ready to, around the corner. I mean, completely around the corner.
19 days.
19 days to be exact.
Mm.
And there's a lot going on, y'all. It's a whole lot going on.
Oh.
Nationally, statewide,
And
and
local.
locally. And we're gonna hit a little bit of everything. But before we get started, I'd like to he ain't no guest, so I ain't even gonna start with him.
Yeah.
Me and him been on so many radio shows, I mean, Valley Black, I mean, just all kind of stuff. And dealing with the West Fresno School District Board and all that stuff. And so just stuff that a lot of injustice that's been happening to us as black people here
Soldiers.
in this county. And so, you know, but change is on, who used to sing that song called Change is on its way?
Change is gonna go to Sam Cooke, huh?
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
And Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions did Keep On Pushing.
Oh, yeah.
Keep on pushing.
See, we reaching way
We
back.
reaching way back.
But man, this is my good friend Mel Sanders, and he gonna be having, me and him gonna have our own show because we're gonna keep it real, keep it 100. And Mel, talk to our audience. A lot of folks been saying, who is this other brother you've been talking about? So I finally called him today. I said, man, can you come in tonight? He said, brother, I'll be there. And so we here, but I would like for him to introduce himself. He's a pioneer of this community. His family is a pioneer of this community. Stakeholders of this community. His father.
Tell it all. I won't have nothing to say.
And it's a lot to say, y'all.
You know, me and him sat down. I wrote out his introduction. You know?
yeah, sounds like it. You just go run down the checklist.
Go ahead, talk to me.
Thank you for inviting me to this one, brother. I appreciate it. You and Aline, I think you have something that we need. This kind of communication in our community is needed, and not just in Fresno, all over. You mentioned this nationwide, but I think we're focusing on us, but we can take this and replicate it throughout the country.
Yes.
Because every community needs a main line of communication. Our biggest problem, one of our biggest problems in our community is getting the information that we need late, after the fact. And when we do that, we're behind the game, automatically we're behind the game. So the more we can communicate with our community and share with them what the facts are, not just speculation or what we heard somebody say. Drill down and give them the facts, because I think the facts are the things that are going to make a difference and give us energy to make changes.
Yes.
Because we've been in the dark way too long. I know the analogy I always use when I share this with you. When we look at the black community, I said we look like we're running the 440, making a circle around the track, and we're so far behind. It looked like we're in front. And the people that are in the stands are just making noise. We think they're cheering.
Right.
They're laughing at us because
Yeah.
we could be much further ahead. But part of it is our fault too, because we have some gatekeepers
Yes.
who are not willing to relinquish that access to what they think is power, so that everybody else can live. They're the ones that will push you back, knowing that you got a good idea and it could work for everybody, but it's going to make them have to step
So,
back too.
are you talking about our own people? Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We're our biggest enemies in a lot of cases. We're the one, and part of it is not wanting to share, and the other half of that is ignorance. We just don't know.
Yes.
You know, like I said, this kind of medium to get the word out is what we need. This is what we need, and it has to be coming from people who have sincere hearts.
That's right.
We might be wrong, but we're sincere about our wrongness, and we didn't do it to just take over, take people down the wrong road.
Not with malice. It wasn't done with malice or greed, anything like that.
So, but you know what? And I was talking to Aline. I think I was talking to Aline about what I'm about to say is that, after slavery, well, we talk about this book before I talk about that. Without sanction, you see that right there?
Oh my God, y'all.
Black men and women being lynched here in America, and it's a heavy book.
It's very.
It sometimes you just start crying to see how barbaric, white folks lynched us just because of the color of our skin, just because just hurt us and lynch us and put it on postcards and all that, posing and all that. That stuff is real.
It's real, and it happened, and it's still happening. You were just telling me about a brother not too long ago who got lynched. And we were talking about doing a show about that.
Yeah, and so what I don't understand, Mel, maybe both of y'all can help me here, because it really bothers me that black folks, our ancestors built over 30 cities across the nation, right? Even in California. Allensworth, huh?
Fairmead.
I mean, we're there with black towns. Centerville is one of them that don't nobody talk about, right? And our folks, let me just use Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. We didn't have no iPhone. They didn't have no iPhone in 1921.
Nothing like
that. They didn't have a laptop. They didn't have floppy disk. They didn't have Instagram. They didn't have Facebook.
So what did they have?
They had unity, what we don't have today.
That's the key.
And I don't understand why that's so hard that we can. The blueprint is there that our ancestors created.
Yeah, but see, the system knows that. And what they've done is devised a method to make sure that you don't come together. And they do what Mr. Farrakhan said, there's somebody working in the fields and somebody working in the house.
Tell it now.
And the people in the house are not interested in trying to be with the folks in the field because they having it good. They sleeping in the master's in his basement or in his attic. They eating off his table. So they getting everything they need or they want. And when you start talking about, hey, we need to have a revolution so all of us can get a piece of the pie, they're the first one to stand up and say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. I'll give you an example. That a few years ago, I was trying to organize with some brothers. I was down sitting at a place where we're having some libations and talking about a plan. And there was about 6 or 7 sitting at the table. And I started sharing my idea and concept of what I thought would help us as a community move forward.
Right.
And there was a brother there that was older than me, but he'd be quiet, didn't say a whole lot. But he listened to what I was saying, and everybody else was chiming in. Yeah. He didn't say much. He just sat there. And after we kind of broke up a little bit and people started moving around, he called me over. He said, "Mel, let me tell you something. Everything you said, I agree with. Okay. I think that's a great plan. But I'm not going to never come to none of the meetings you hold. The reason is, where I work, I'm the only black person there. And I like my job. So I'm not going to jeopardize it. But I'll tell you what I will do. If you need some money, let me know. I'm not going to give you a check. I'm going to give you some cash. But I like what you're talking about. And I think we have too many people that are like that achieve success in the arena where they thought they were going to be something special and wanted to be the only, like he was. He was the only one there.
Right.
So that made it where, okay, since I'm the only one here, I'm going to be the good gatekeeper. And I'm going to tell who can come in and who can't.
Willie Lynch letter outlined everything that Brother Mel's talking about between field slaves and house slaves. And we need to think about what it is that we are doing to ourselves, because that is a manifestation of self-hate.
Yep.
If you can do that to your brother or sister, Well, what does that say about you? Think about the movie Django and about Steven, who played Sam Jackson, who played Steven in the movie. He was an honorary white person and had a lot of power, and he wasn't about to give that up. But Django prevailed and freed him and his woman. But we need to think about these things, because what is that showing our children? I mean, our kids are going to pre-K learning all this technological stuff about, how to get on the internet and how to make Facebook pages and all this stuff. But what good is that going to do them if when they leave school, they're still a slave? You have to free your mind first, and your behind will follow.
Sure. But let me say this. I think part of the reason for that, and I've been saying it for years, and coming from a religious family and background, I think a lot of the blame belongs at the foot of the church, the black church in particular.
All right.
Because they were the ones that we went to when we had problems in our community. We went to that local preacher, and a lot of times he couldn't read or write, but he had a heart for the people, and he wasn't afraid to go stand up and say, "Look, you're doing my people wrong," or go down to the jail and say, "You need to let this one out." He built a relationship with the power structure, if you will, and he was the guy that was in the middle to help with our community. But over the past, I'd say 30 years or so, maybe a little longer, most preachers confine their message to just the pulpit and the people that are inside the four walls.
Ain't that something?
They don't talk about what's going on down at City Hall, or how can we help our kids with school. Why don't we have a piece of the school in our churches so that we can I remember when I was in grammar school, on Fridays, now I don't know if it was every Friday or once a month, but they called the Catholic Church, these kids would get passes to leave school on a Friday and go to a Catholic church for, I think they call it catechism or something like that.
Yeah.
And they would get their education aside from ABCs about life from there.
Yes.
What I'm saying, when we couldn't do what we can do now, we had that. We had to go to one-room schoolhouse.
That's right.
And we had every grade in there, and there was no special ed. Everybody helped everybody. Even the slow kids were gonna make it, because the ones that were older than them, they were we got to make this. We got to make this happen. And so that's the model, I think, that he was talking about, that will help us get to where we need to go if we have the people that have the courage to make it happen.
Having the courage to make it happen.
I preached a sermon called Wizard of Oz.
What is that?
Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
The Wicked Witch of the West, and I think it was the Tin Man. And the Tin Man didn't have
a heart.
And then the Scarecrow
didn't have a brain.
And
the Cowardly Lion.
And the Cowardly Lion.
And no courage.
Had no courage. Now we got every character in the black community right now. I'm talking about from the West Coast to the East Coast.
You're right.
Yeah.
We got
And you know what's sad about it?
And we got Dorothy that want to go home.
Yeah.
I want to go home to Africa.
And Kate, I always get that dog name.
Oh, Toto.
I call him Toto. He was the shortest and the bravest out of all of them. And he the one that exposed the wizard. And when he went back and pulled the cover off the wizard, he was just as scared to do it now. And the Cowardly Lion, who was supposed to be the protection, he ran and jumped out the doorway.
He sure did.
Man, I got a sermon on that boy.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, even with all that, I still love my people. Even though I know the shortcomings, and I know, but I also know the potential of them.
Yes.
We have some brilliance. We went through the episode of West Fresno. We were without a superintendent. We hired a guy named Floyd Buchanan, who was the architect of one of the most prestigious schools in the state, if not the country, who got all kind of recognition. And he came over. I asked him to come, went out and talked to him. We need a superintendent, and he was retired. And he always had a passion for kids, a heart for kids. And he came over, and after about the third weekend being there, we were talking after school one day. He said, Mel, if I understood the competitiveness of black kids like I understand it now, I would have been over here a long time ago.
Whoa.
He said, what I put together out there that everybody thought it was a great model. He said, man, these kids, they grab it like this. They're just, he said, I could have really had some great success. And you guys got way more money over here than I had. Everybody thought clothes were rich. Our biggest portion of money came from property tax. You guys got all kind of categorical monies to do all kind of creative things over here. I wished I'd have come early. But that was just amazing to hear him say that and consider, you mean our kids could, he said, oh yeah, it's not just athletically. Academically, they can compete. And I was, okay, well now let's see if we can get past where we are now and get to that. But the system wasn't gonna have that.
No.
Because, you know, they don't want you excelling more than, the name of the game in education is how much can we maintain status quo and still keep the money coming? Because we're not trying to educate kids, we're just trying to appease the system. And when enough people complain, the first thing we're gonna tell them is, we need more money. We don't have the money for it. We're short of money. Well, you know, the average school in California, the average ADA, average daily attendance they get for each kid is somewhere around $15,000 per year.
Wow.
For 180 days of being in the classroom. And you multiply that out for all, they got, I think, 50 I know there's 58 districts in counties in California, but you multiply that out by the number of school districts in the state, a ton of money goes to education. And most of the people who are sitting in positions of power and influence have no interest in doing any more than what they've always done.
Well, that makes me wonder, what are the trustees at Fresno Unified doing for our kids? I mean, we've got in this district, it's District 1, is it? Keisha Thomas in the Edison district. And you know, I don't know if it's true, but I heard a rumor that Miss Keisha is running for another office, and so if you've already got your foot out the door, you know, I want to see the report card, what you've done so far. Now I know that we have a new interim superintendent, Misty Her, I think her name is. She's a long employee, long-standing. But I understand too that now they're going to open that up to a nationwide search. The same thing that they're going to do for the police chief. So I'm saying all this to say, if we know what the problems are, and you were saying 15,000 per child, why aren't our kids doing better? I mean, moms came here in the early 80s. They got caught up and bypassed a lot of black children. And we already know that Latinos, you know, with the bilingualism and all that, they've got that. And so black kids are like at a standstill. And I don't understand.
Because it's by design. Let me share with you. It's not an accident that they do not want black students to achieve. They got to have somebody that their kids can watch over in the prison system. So if you go to jail, now you got a bunch of the guards and the people that are connected to the correctional system, they make big money. That's the second biggest money that's in the state that goes. So there's when you talk about, the first question you asked is about what are the school board members doing about the quality. Let me say this. Most 99.9% of all school board members have never read the education code to tell you what their job is. They don't read that. What they do is they spend their money and hire a superintendent, pay him exorbitant salaries, and say, look, we hired you, come up with a plan that will work for our student body, student population. That's not what the ed code says.
Wow.
You are an elected official. You should be getting with the other 7, talking about what do we need that can make our school or our kids better. How can we make them achieve? They go on retreats and they hire somebody from outside who's in education, but they're a consultant, and they tell them exactly what the system wants them to know so they can keep doing what they're doing. Go outside. So that's the reason why we have to be real careful about who we send to serve on boards that have the influence.
Yes.
And we have to start where we can control. We can't control it all. So we have to take a bite of the small apple so we can get to the big apple.
Yes.
Because right now we're so far behind, it looks like we're in front. And when you talk about people who are talking about moving to another position, that's not new. But the fault of that is the communities. And the fault of that is, I'm blaming it back on the preachers. Because they ain't telling you how to get to heaven, but they ain't telling you how to avoid hell down here.
Okay.
So they have to.
All right, you better watch out now. Come on with it.
But that's true. They spend a lot of time telling you about the blueprint to get to heaven. But ask them about, how do I deal with this city council person that's not going to help us with our streets?
Right.
How do I deal with the state that's spending money on things that we don't need, telling us that we're going to get to it later?
Exactly.
What's the strategy behind it? What do we do to fix that? And it boils back to having good, strong leadership in the community, and that's what we had for years. Even people that didn't have good education, they had motherwit, common sense. They knew right from wrong, and they knew how to stand together.
Well, in Fresno, it seemed like to me, because Rev and I talk about this a lot, how there used to, I left the paper, how there used to be so many small mom and pop black businesses on the west side, and then here come model cities, and here come redevelopment, and suddenly West Fresno had been cleaned out except for the industrial stuff, the rendering plants that stunk up our neighborhoods and rendered our air quality, we couldn't deal with it. And now we're going through gentrification and the same thing is happening again. I know for a fact that if it had not been for Reverend Harris holding a press conference about this damn tree in my mom's, the front of her house, we would have never gotten the trees in front of the house where I live now removed. And every tree on that block is infested with termites. Every tree. And Miguel was like, well, when developers build in Northeast and Northwest Fresno, they're paying money for the infrastructure and the upkeep, and I only have $50,000 a year for my entire district. Okay, well that's not my problem. I'm a taxpayer. My mother's a taxpayer, so what are you going to do to fix this? Reverend Harris had to hold a press conference. We put the telephone number for the city council and Miguel's office on blast on Facebook, and that's the only way to respond. So it was people power that made the difference. And people have to understand they have the power. Back when I was 17 years old and on Black Political Council, I was begging the older people on this council, please, can we please get some political education in our neighborhoods so we can get some things done? And they were like, pat on the head, yes, darling.
How are they going to teach what they don't know?
Well,
they didn't know. They were in positions to look like they knew.
Yes.
But most of the people who were in that circle
and I didn't know. And I didn't know that they didn't know.
Well, most of us didn't.
Yeah, and I just knew that we needed to get educated about our history and people power. We need to do that. And so I'm looking at the future, hoping that things are going to get better, that Sister Kamala Harris is going to win, and hopefully make some changes. And I'm not saying she's perfect, but she's a lot better than
the opposition, But you're looking at it on the other side, there ain't no comparison. Like night and day. But I think we have to start locally in order for us to get to where we're trying to go. And it has to be done on a mini level where we educate and we take care of the neighborhoods that we're around, and then we grow from there. And we have to have enough front time to make it happen. We can't start in November. The election is in November, and we're starting on October the 19th or whatever date this is. Talking about we're going to change things. It's too late.
It's too late.
It's an ongoing process year round. Once this is over, we immediately need to get into the next cycle. And we need to pick who's going to be our representatives and vet them in a manner that we know that they're going to be the ones, and have the machinery in place that if they're not the one, we don't wait 4 years.
We could have done that. You all remember the Million Man March, and I just saw on Facebook 29th anniversary Million Man March. I know for a fact that when the LOCs, the local organizing committees for the Million Man March, the Muslims said, look, okay, y'all already got a structure, you've been meeting every week, we're going to leave all the LOCs in place, and you do what you want to do. So that would have been, an organization. And I'm not going to name any names because this person is, dearly departed now, but money was taken
Oh, yeah.
Money was taken and nothing, the LOC collapsed. And I'm saying this because I was working like a dog.
A lot of people were.
Yeah,
A lot of people
yeah,
were.
a lot of people were.
But even in that, let me share this with you. Even in that, with the successor of LOC, we have the local NAACP chapter fighting against them. And I'm saying,
I know.
I was sitting in the office when a phone call came in to the president of the NAACP from a city councilman sitting on the dais.
Okay.
Because LOC was down talking about some additional funds for whatever we're talking about. And I'm sitting in the office there when the call comes in from a councilman to the president of the NAACP. He's asking, what about this guy? Excuse me. And the president said, don't worry about them, don't give them nothing. They just trying to take the place of the NAACP. You have to give them nothing, don't worry about them. And when he hung up, I said, why would you say that?
Yeah.
I said, it's not taking anything away from us. It's better to have two people fighting than just one. Why? They need to come over here and join us. Well, he didn't say us, he said join me.
Yeah.
Well, which was really the issue.
Yeah.
It was about, personal, he wanted to have all of the.
That ego.
Yeah. But that's the reason why we have the problems that we have, because people who are in positions to help everybody are only going to help if you agree with me. Like Donald Trump. What he's saying now, anybody don't agree with me, I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
So we have people at our level that have that same mindset. And there's enough to go around. Yeah, it's different if there's not enough and you trying to fight to get your part. It's plenty.
And that's the thing. The oppressor, the power structure, has got so many of us convinced that there's a finite amount of resources that we need to fight over and kill each other.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I always use Clarence Thomas as an example on Supreme Court. He was a liberal progressive when he was in college. He used every affirmative action program there was to climb that ladder.
Yeah.
And he climbed that ladder and shut the door behind him.
Oh yeah.
So, he's like the head house Negro in charge now, and he doesn't, I'm sure he understands that he's going to be the main one that's getting a political lynching because, his skin is black. And, he's been an honorary white person, but he's about to get his stuff snatched.
Well, he's old enough to retire now, so whatever they do to him now, is going to just be a slap on the hand because he's on his way out. The key is setting the rules in place so there's not another Clarence Thomas coming behind him or any of the other justices that may want to cross the line. Put this in place, and we can hold the feet to the fire. So that's been the problem with the system and the system really doesn't want to. Congress, they don't really want to do it because guess what? Their hands dirty too. Yeah. So you throwing rock at him, and you got stuff on your hand, and they gonna come and what about you? So that's one of the reasons why they've known the problem. They ain't nothing new. They knew what's going on. But if I get you, then I got to tell on me. So then I'm really interested in that. We'll let them talk at the meeting, get on in. So that's why I don't think they're willing to move. That's why the people have to move.
The people have to
move.
And
I always say this about politicians. They love the jobs they got. And they will do almost anything to keep those jobs. And what they do is they go, and the system knows, the lobbyists know this. Yes. They come to them and say, look, we got a team that we can put together to make sure you win. Right. And we got all the money to make sure you can do what you need to do.
Right.
But these are the things we need for you to do. Well, that's not what the people want. But because they spend big money on influencing people, that's what they're doing. With that money they get, that's to influence people. That's why you see all these commercials right now.
Oh, yeah.
Flooded with it. Because there are folks that are just trying to live and trying to get by for the day. And when it comes time for voting, they listen to something that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds, I didn't know they do that. Why would they? And it's a lot. But they don't have the time to go back and research it. And we don't have in place the kind of system that can do a checks and balances to make sure that our people get the right information, i.e. preachers. They don't have no clue about what it is. So what they tell you, well, we're going to pray about it. Oh, really? That's what you're going to do? Well, learn how to make it happen so you can let God do his job and you do yours.
And there are groups like the West Fresno Ministerial Alliance. I'm not a pastor, so I don't know. But I know there's a group that says that they're the West Fresno Ministerial Alliance. So what is it exactly that they do?
I think that if I can chime in, I think that Les Kimball.
He didn't want me to tell him. That's why he cut me off.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't want me to tell him.
They probably thrown him out already.
He probably wasn't never part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Smart people learn.
I think Les Kimball was the one that came up with the model, bringing the preachers together.
Mm.
They all
Okay.
know more history than I do. I'm just telling a little bit I know. And it was during in the 60s when, you know, the Black Panthers was getting assassinated, King got assassinated, Malcolm got assassinated, and then it was like, I can't speak for Les, but it was like, you know, we got to do something here. I believe that King did come to Fresno.
Yeah, he did at 64.
But it was like the concept and the gesture was good, but over a course of time, white folks infiltrated it and took it over.
Well, you wanted to tell it. I was going to tell it.
The West Fresno Ministerial Alliance was taken over by white folks. Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, look at the numbers now. Currently today, there are more people outside the African American community that are members of the organization than there are African Americans. And they smart. They don't want to be the president, but they'll be the treasurer. They make sure they're close to that money. And for some reason or other, we have people who look like us that don't understand that we can do some ingenious kind of things to make it happen and get our own money. But they would rather ride the coattails of somebody who they think has got it, and they want to replicate it from them by staying close to them.
Right.
And these people are one by one ministers. Years ago, they got when George Bush was president, he came up with the idea that he's going to have the faith-based community get a bunch of money. And he encouraged all of the ministerial groups and the churches to get a separate 501c3 so you wouldn't have to worry about commingling with your church money. Get this, and we're going to make sure that the money's going to be available for your nonprofit.
Okay.
Gentleman comes to town, goes to the Ministerial Alliance, and look like us. I can help you folk get your 501c3 so you guys will be in line for it. And there was about 12 ministers that said, look, we want to do this. And he said, good. I'm only going to charge you $800 a piece to do all your paperwork and get it, which was a good deal at that time. Yeah, okay. Give me something down and I'll get on it. They gave him about $400 for each one of them a piece. And 3 months later, he was in another city telling them the same thing.
Oh my goodness. So
So-
they got scammed.
Yeah, he knew they didn't know, and he told them it was going to take him about 3 months for him to get the. And 3 months later, he was going to another town, doing it to somebody else. But part of the master's plan was to have you sidetracked thinking about this money because there were strings attached to it, and they wanted to make sure that you adhere to those strings if you want that money. And that's what they did. They had that set aside, and when they wanted to get something done, oh well, I don't think that's a good idea. So one by one ministries got a big grant. They hired a few of our people that look like us, that all of us know. And they said, based on your congregation size, we're going to give you X number of dollars. The biggest portion of that money never came to West Fresno. It was other churches like
People's Church.
yes, those churches on the north side of town, and where those are the ones that got the big money. The rest of them got maybe $1,000, $1,500, something like that. But the rest of that $1 million that came through, they went out of this community, and some of them went downtown to a preacher that bought the Wilson Theater.
Franklin.
Yes, he got some of that, and the city worked with him about getting all of their buses that they were going to renew, upgrade with. They donated to him, so he had a fleet of buses that he could go pick people up. He had this the theater there that was a landmark in the community. He got that and turned it into a church, and then used it partially for social hall, to rent it out and do some things, which is a good concept. But you taking advantage. That money could have went to somebody over here that really could have helped. This guy, if you listen to him on Sunday morning at noon,
I've listened to him.
Oh
and
my God!
His big hook to me is working with people who substance abusers or former substance abusers, people who are in recovery. and that goes across, you know, racial lines and all of that. But when you really listen to them, you can hear 45.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear the message of conservatives, and I can only take it for so long before I have to, you know,
Oh, yeah.
to turn it off. But
even members of our community will push him up front and have him walking and leading the Martin Luther King celebration, leading in the front row. Here's a guy that's, you know, he had no love for us, but
yeah.
he's leading the pack.
Well, some of us have worked to form a MLK. I call it the MLK Resistance Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got tired of the whitewash. I haven't been to that march or those events downtown in several years. And people don't want to talk about the radical MLK, and that's what we want to talk about. And so last year, I should say earlier this year, we had an event that immediately followed the events downtown. And Rev, you tell it was a packed house.
Yeah, it was right here.
It was standing room only.
And we're looking to do it again this year.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the folk that was on the dice were people that was cut from real, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther style, you know,
Mm-hmm.
real outspoken. And you know, and the whole thing was like pulling people together under one roof. It was all nationalities.
It was.
A lot of black folks and a lot of everybody. And, you know, even Wilf, you know.
Yeah, Wilf had a lot of people.
Women, what's it called?
Women's International League for Peace and Freedom.
They're international group. And, you know, I don't know if you remember, Mel, when I wrote those 2 letters about politicians torn with black history.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote one year, wrote a rebuttal. I need to write another one. And, you know, I just called it out like it was. You know, that's what. Cruz Bustamante.
It ain't changed.
Cruz Bustamante was the lieutenant governor at the time, and you know he had Bubba, and, you know, all these cats, right? You know, Jim Costa, who is the last in Congress, you know, but I think he's in the lead, this whole district, and it's like, you know, what I see is that people use us. They pimp our history.
Come on.
They pimp everything about us. They do extensive research, analyzing on things that we done, right? And then want us to hold arms and sing kumbaya, but don't want us at the table, right? We outside looking through the window. And then here organizing and cutting the pie and money and this and that. And so, you know, you get tired of it. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, the league wrote a letter to the entire city council and said, don't ever expect us to come back again. Don't ever expect us to come. And they laid out, itemized why. And they said, well, we're joining forces with Reverend. Whatever you want to do, we with him. Because, you know, you remember the old 45 records, the old 33s used to have? Remember when it to get scratched, what did it do? You come back to the same.
Yeah.
Come back to the same.
Yeah.
You have to go over and bump it. Then
I'll put a nickel in it so it keep going.
That's right. That's what's happening. Like, I've been saying the same thing for many years. You know that, man, over and over and over. And so the light finally clicked. Like, man, we're done with that, you know. But it's like, you know, we have to continue to build. You know, like I tell people, it's not about just putting on an event.
No.
It's about what happens the next day.
That's right.
You know, how do we build capacity? How do we build power? How do we, you know, I'm not into this off and on stuff, right? And so, you know, I mean, we did the march over the bridge, remember that year?
Yeah. The next year they went right back downtown.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't stand that. It was
Wow.
beautiful.
I still got the picture. Me and you in the front.
Yeah.
My son, he was about that tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
With the banner.
With the
Yeah.
banner.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you got people without vision, that's what you get.
And the sad part is that this resistance committee for MLK, we're meeting right now, And Reverend Harris had a really good idea that we pick up where he left off with the Poor People's Campaign. And it was because of the Poor People's Campaign and his stance against Vietnam that they had to kill him, and they did kill him. But we need to start talking about this right now, because homelessness, this is what I found out from Des Martinez. Now, I don't know how big of an expert she is. They say she's one. She told me, okay, if we're looking at Fresno County, 5% of Fresno County is black people. I'm not sure how much we are percentage-wise in the state of California, but she told me 72% of the homeless in California are black, are African American. 72%. That's three-quarters statewide.
Okay.
And people have told me, oh, I never see any black homeless people. I'm like, come to the west side. You'll see some black homeless people. I mean, I see them every day. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying all this to say that I agree with both of you that we need to start locally, and people need to understand their power and flex those muscles. Because if they don't think, the only way we are going to get and maintain and have power is to work together with unity. Mm-hmm. We don't have unity, we're not going to have anything.
And we have to target those areas that we can make an impact in. I went a few months ago to the NAACP. I redid my membership, and I made a suggestion. I said, maybe once a month we can have a couple of people go down to the courthouse and sit in the courtroom of one of their judges that's getting ready to run this year for election. They don't have to know anything. They could be sitting in there with a clipboard playing tic-tac-toe. Yeah. But have on your shirt that says NAACP.
Yes.
Now when we hold a press conference and we say, look, this judge has done A, B, C, D, we like him for this, or we don't like him for that, whatever it is, it looks like you've got some documentation that's a fact. Now, the people that are going, they don't need to know. I mean, they just doing what, being a part of the community they go represent. Right. But the people who really understand how it works can then go out and write what needs to be written and have it printed in the newspaper or put it on social media to make sure that people understand, oh man, these guys are paying attention. Now we got to treat them differently.
Could you explain, I didn't know that, NAACP, I never really hear that much about them anymore. I hear about the one in Fresno State, the student one, but the one in the greater community, who's in charge of that now?
Her name is Lisa Bonner. Is the local president. Okay. She's also a member of the Fresno EOC Commission. She's also a member of SCIU. So she's very connected with that. But this is new. This kind of leadership is new to her. Okay. And I think she's a good person, but being good and being effective may not be the same thing.
Well, and sometimes in Fresno, it's hard. And I'm talking from the experience I had with the West Fresno Democratic Club. I started off being a VP, and I'm not going to say who talked me into, coming to this organization. And then, for whatever reason, I wound up being president. But it scared me to understand that it was more of a social club than it was, a political action club. And the scales fell from my eyes, and I understood it, and I couldn't even blame him, right? Because it's like, you signed on for this. And don't get me wrong, I love the West Fresno Democratic Club. I love it. Yeah, and Darren Miller is the head of it now, and he, we used to meet every month. I mean, as our charter says we're supposed to meet. Now I understand that they meet every quarter. So I don't know.
Let me share this with you in terms of a concept that I believe we have to do in order to be effective. The organizations that are connected to the black community, the ministerial group, the NAACP,
West Fresno.
I don't know if the Black Political Council is still active or not, but
no, they're not. But BWAPA is, and
there are certain ones that you don't have to. They're called. To me, they're elitists. They're not going to do none of the grassroots work. They got a good name or a big name, and they're going to use that name to think they can engineer something. But those primary ones, the Ministerial Alliance and the NAACP, have to be influenced, and the West Fresno Democratic Club have to be mobilized for us.
Yes.
We have to have the leadership in those areas. Because let me tell you what the system will do. And they did it to us back in '91. When we were successful to get 13 black folks elected to the local school boards in Southwest Fresno, they went to them, or they met with them, and those were the groups that fought us the hardest. Because they, like I said, if they don't know the law or didn't know, understand what the election code said, they were just doing the same thing they've always done and never read the book of what you could do. And so they were manipulated to push back against us because they were saying, oh, you guys can't do that. Well, we said, well, it's in the book right there. You can. Yeah. Oh no, somebody's going to jail. Wait a minute. This is the book. This is what. No. So you have to have. You don't need that kind of a fight. So those organizations that are outside are not. You need to have them with you, even if they don't do anything. You just don't want them fighting. You grab them, pull them close to you, and hold them there, and say, okay, we got enough energy over here to do it, but we're not going to be fighting you. We got our leadership in charge here. And when we get enough people that want to energize this organization to be effective for us, then we can. I was talking to some people that are one of the person that's on the EOC. What does your hiring practice look like? Do you have any equity in your hiring, or is it just all one way? Well, I'll get back to you. Well, that's been 2 years ago.
Wow.
And every 2 years there's another election. So to me, it seems to me that our community needs to take on responsibility of making sure we have the right people in the right places to make it happen. And they need to be talking all the time. We can't just do it and just, okay, well, we're not talking no more.
And we definitely need people on the planning commission. Reverend was just talking about
Miguel's office? Are they appointed by Miguel?
I think, don't each, they get 3?
DJ is the commission for West Fresno.
Oh, crime.
Right.
Oh, okay.
We'll say rest. But I thought it was that each district gets so many commissioners. Is that the way that they break it down?
But you're appointed by the
right. Oh.
Yeah, he has some. He takes your recommendation.
Okay.
But he fills out the rest of them with who you want to do. The mayor has the number of votes that he needs to have.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just.
Well, I want to piggyback off what Mel was saying about, and I think we need to have a show about what is strong leadership in the black community. Because I think we have a lot of self-appointed people who ain't got no track record, who just woke up in the morning with mad in their eyes, slobbing, talking about I'm a leader. That's not a black leader. Someone has to vouch for your work. Someone has credibility. Has to say, I can vouch for this brother or this sister.
Right.
But what has happened today is, we get. And I'm not talking about the sister at the NAACP, but I'm just talking out loud. Is that we get people in positions of an organization from a historical standpoint that was supposed to stand up and fight the system like Megan Everts did.
Right.
Getting people to vote in Mississippi. People from that type of cloth, right? He wasn't a sellout. That's why he got killed.
That's why he got killed.
Huh? That's why he got killed with his 4 little girls on the other side of that door, because he was getting people registered to vote in Mississippi, and the white power structure did not like that.
That's right.
Right? So Megan Everts is not someone who a system will want to be as the president of an organization, right? So we got to eliminate them. So if you run it up till today, we got people leading organizations that's getting $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $13,000 a year off of a government job. And you want to lead an NAACP. The first time that person speaks against something, the power structure is going to look at them in Texas and say, you must not like your job.
Yeah, cut your water off. That's like the gentleman that told me about he's only That's why.
You must don't like your job too well.
That's right.
You speaking out against us.
Yeah.
I
And you getting a
know
paycheck from
somebody
us?
that knows somebody that knows
Somebody
somebody
that can get to you.
that can
That's right.
fire you from your job.
Exactly.
And it has
So
happened.
this person is the head of the NAACP, that's supposed to be looking out for black folk in a community, now has become muzzled because they don't want to lose their income
That's right.
to pay for their car, their house, and all that. So now they sit on the side. This is what's been happening in Fresno for the past, like Mel said, 30, 40
Oh,
years
yes, absolutely.
here. And so I think that the community really has to look at leadership and say, where you work at?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I work for the city. No, you can't take the job.
Mm-hmm.
Where you work at? I work for the county. No,
That's
you
smart.
can't take the job. Because you got to have someone in that seat
Yes.
that's going to tell it like it is,
Tell her like
not
it is.
worry about getting fired,
Come on.
but stand up for the wellness of black people. We don't have that
But
in
see,
Fresno.
To me, we talking about somebody who was a servant leader. And that is somebody that is unique to what you're talking about, Rev. They have to be willing to serve their people as well as lead their people. And that's a tough job.
It is.
It's like you were saying about MLK, that he got more help from people outside of
He
Atlanta
did.
than he got from his homegrown
Mhm.
people.
Profit is without honor.
Hello.
Hello. In your own homes, you ain't
Listen, y'all been rolling with us for about an hour. We about at the end of our show. You
Yeah.
the Black Agenda Network here. We connect the dots. Remember
Mhm.
back in the day in school, the teacher used to give us a little paper and it had a whole bunch of dots on it. It was actually a picture. Right?
If you connected the dots right.
And so you started up here and
Yeah.
you went on down and around and back up and back. You know, I used to like that. Remember that? So that's what we do here with the Black Agenda Network here. It's connected up. One of the things you want to make sure that you do critical thinking. It's not so much you take what I say for truth, Aline for truth, or Mel. We want you to do your own
There you
research.
go. Yeah.
Let's stop being lazy. Now, I asked Aline, and Mel says in front of you, all the black people that's running for seats in call themselves black. I don't know what they really are. But we're gonna send, Aline has put a nice invitation letter together to send to all of them, to ask them to come on our show so that we can talk about what they're gonna do for black people. It has to be that blunt. What are your plans for black people?
Yes.
Because see, and I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at the Hmong, the Hispanics, the Asians, the Arabs, whatever, the monks or mocks, whatever you want to call them. They, when they come to the table, they come to the table for their people, right? That don't mean they hate me. They just coming to the table for their people. Now, if there's some crumbs or something left, they may scoop it over there and you get it. But they coming to the table for their people.
Exactly.
Right.
Interesting thing happened today. There was a school named Lane
How?
Powell. And I was just walking around, and when I walked in, they had the leader, 2 pictures, way up where you can see it, real big. They want you to see who their leader is. They named after the school. Right. I'll probably say 95% of the school is Hmong. Right. So when you walk in, you see his picture. You see the little, what do you call that thing with awards and
Oh, like the display case?
display. All of it had Hmong stuff in it. Hmong stuff over there. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Principal come out. Principal's Hmong. Oh, okay. Her assistant is Hmong. Okay. May had one Latino there, maybe one white over there. Majority of the teachers are Hmong. And so the janitor was Hmong. People who pick up paper, kitchen folk, where the food was Hmong. I said,
You didn't miss nothing, did you? You saw it all.
I analyzed everything. And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow. Big old letters out there, the leader, You go in the kitchen, the cafeteria, they got 2 more pictures of them. Wow. So they make sure that you know where you at. That's what pictures are for. I want you to know where you at. Who is our leader and our founder.
Right.
But what I found interesting, Mel, was I started thinking about Gaston. How when Dr. Crozier took on that fight with the city and many people, I didn't see nobody black trying to teach Hmong studies. But when you come to a black community, you want to put a white person to teach our history. Right. Something's wrong with that.
Something's wrong.
Right. And then I'm looking at that, and I'm like, and they fought us. Dr. Crozier, they lost her job. Them racist white folks, males, started calling Pacific College, complaining about Dr. Crozier. She took the lead on it. And I stayed in the background. I didn't say nothing. I was just watching. And when she told me that they called her job threatening for them to fire her, then that's when I stood up. I called a press conference at New Light and challenged all of them. You don't attack our sister. There's consequences when you attack a black woman. There's consequences. You don't do that. Right now, bring it on to me now. I must have did that press conference about 15 years ago. I ain't seen nobody. But you'll jump on a black sister because she's standing up for her people. She's standing up for her culture. She's standing up for what she believes in. And she was right.
She was.
You see what I'm saying? We had no business in a black community having a white teacher teaching black studies. Now, I know a lot of white people that can teach it and teach it good, right? But that's not what the community wants.
Exactly.
Right? See, when we want something, we get all this pushback.
That's
but when other ethnics want something, oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
See, that's the part that we, the unity piece, has to come in. But again, when you have people who making 6 figures, leading organization is supposed to be the bugle, supposed to be the vehicle for the community.
That's a good point.
They're going to be silent because they don't want to lose their little check. Then don't even take the darn position if you that scary. You see what I'm saying?
But the power structure want them to be in that position so that they can continue to block.
To control what's going on. Look at it. It took us 20 years to get a shopping center.
20.
And had to fight to get that. That was Deacon Foster, Miles, all that old guard during that time. 20-something years, and they were still saying, if we build a shopping center for y'all, it ain't even gonna work. Y'all ain't got enough support for this shopping center to sustain itself. Come to find out, it was the most money's making shopping center in the whole valley, right over here.
Right, but they ain't building nothing else over here until now that the gentrification has started. But they building that to support the City College satellite. They're not building it for.
Aline just told me this morning that they're building a Target in Southeast Fresno.
Yeah.
See, what people don't understand about tax base, right? When you build and you buy where you bought your house, all that tax base stay there, right? So when we don't get nothing built here that we want, and we got to go shop in River Park and shop in Southeast and shop in Northwest, we're building the infrastructure of that community while we still got dirt sidewalks on this side of town. We got roads down Martin Luther King, got potholes and stuff. You see what I'm saying? Because they intentionally, and it's not just in Fresno, across the world. But like Mel did, you gotta call a mayor to the carpet, brother. This is where we at. What you gonna do about it?
What you gonna do?
Now Mel know I will recall somebody in a minute. Anybody know me? This brother here know. I will recall someone in a minute. Because we had a council member, and we're going to say this and we're going to close. We had a council member, Aline, told me, Mel, and
Mel, you was there? Oh my goodness.
Me, you, and
was it
Coleman.
Coleman, yeah, Lewis.
Lewis Coleman. And I kept telling Mel, and I said, man, I don't want to support that lady. She went, What did she do the last 4 years? Oh, well, I'll let Mel tell the story. He said, I'll tell the whole story.
Tell the whole
Let him
story.
tell the story.
We got about 5 minutes, so go ahead on, Mel, tell the story.
He got it down. You know, the council person didn't want to cooperate. They were system bound, and they didn't want to get outside the box of being a system person because they thought that was their way for sustainability. And when the papers came out about recall, they were shaking like a leaf. And they wanted to meet then. Prior to this, they didn't want to meet. They were just, I know what's best for West Fresno. My folks were here, I was here, and I already know. But you talk about being shaking in their boots, and I have to say that we probably made a mistake because we didn't follow his lead. Lewis and I said, well, let's give her a chance. And he said, man, she done already showed us who she is.
Yeah.
Let's go get her.
She's a dump truck. I kept telling her she's a dump truck.
That was
Why we keep fooling with this lady? She don't care nothing about black people. And then she gonna say, well, listen. She said, listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm there just like that. She said, black people did not put me in office. Just like that. And I looked at her, I said, what did she just say? She said, black people did. Now she black.
Yeah.
And gonna tell black for revolutionary, well, black people didn't put me in office. So since black people didn't put me in office, I ain't gotta listen to y'all. I said, okay. What street the election office on? What street the election office on? Downtown? Current. I said, okay. Well, what make you laugh and make you cry?
Yeah.
You should have been better off telling Moby Dick and Big Bird. I said, because it's a new. Anyway, y'all, there's been a lot of battles here for Fresno. So y'all tune in, and we're gonna get those letters out to those folks that's running, and we're gonna keep organizing and share what we do here with you all across the country. Maybe you can call in. We have our brother from is it Ghana, Nigeria? He wants to call in and talk about how do we partner and network with the motherland. You know, they got over 20, 40, 50,000 acres of land. How do we work together? How do we bring the unity back? Our village has been destroyed, and we've allowed people to destroy it, but it can be rebuilt. We are carpenters. So anyway, say hotel to everybody. Hope you have a blessed evening. This Sunday we have an appreciation here. Food from 1 to 2:30, and from 3 to whatever, we'll have an appreciation ceremony. So looking forward to all of y'all. Thank y'all. Mel, you got any last words?
No, you said it all, brother. You said it all.
Okay, well,
Aline, what you always tell us?
Well, you know what I always say, y'all. Stay black till we get back with you.
All right.
Yeah. I like that. Can I steal that?
Yes, you have my permission to steal that one.
Okay.